Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Either way, I am happy to have you here with me today. So let's chitty chat for a minute, okay? I'm trying to clean out my small freezer that's attached to the refrigerator, and in doing so I have found quite a few things that need to be used up. So some I forgot were in there, you know how it goes. And I always dread having to do this because then I have to really think about what I'm gonna make, so I'm not making the same stuff all the time. So today I've come across a couple of items in there that we're going to use some of. It won't use it all up, but it will use some of it, and that's headed in the right direction. So one of these items, a lot of people consider it being just for breakfast. It is not. We're going to be using it for something totally different. So come along with me and let's find out what's cooking today. You know that item that I was talking about that a lot of people just consider it as being a breakfast item? Well, I'm here to tell you it's not. Biscuits. I have some frozen biscuits, and I'm going to be using 2 of these today. Only I'm not making these for breakfast. I guess technically that you could eat what we're making today. You could eat it for breakfast if you wanted to, but I don't see me doing that. I see me eating it more as a sweet treat or a dessert, after dinner or something. So we're going to be using frozen biscuits. You do want to thaw them first. We're going to be using some butter, some brown sugar, some nutmeg, cinnamon, vanilla. It calls for apple pie filling, but this isn't quite apple pie filling, but this is what I'm going to use because I had this hanging out in my pantry and we're going to use it. So it's fried apples with cinnamon. They need to be used up. I mean, the Best By date on them is 2026, but I did buy them last year in the fall, so they've been here for a year. So I do need to use these fried apples up. And walnuts. These are optional, but I am going to use these. And then there's a recipe for a glaze. I'm not going to do the glaze because, I have this buttercream frosting in my freezer. So I'm just going to take out of this bag what I need for this recipe. And I will leave the recipe for it down in the description box below for both the Apple Pie Biscuits and for the glaze. But you don't have to use the glaze if you don't want to. You just do what you want to do, okay? Next, you want to take a bowl. You want to put 2 tablespoons of butter in there. You're going to put them in your bowl. You're going to take this bowl and you're going to melt that butter down in the microwave. Do it in 5-second increments and just melt it down. Okay, to start out with, you're going to need 2 frozen biscuits. That's what the recipe actually calls for, is frozen biscuits. But you got to let them thaw. If you don't have frozen biscuits, it's not the end of the world. It'll be okay. I'm sure you could use canned biscuits if you have them. You can even make your own biscuits if that's what you want to do. But I actually had frozen biscuits, so that's what I'm going to use. You let 2 frozen biscuits thaw. You're going to set those to the side while you get everything prepared. I've got my iron skillet. This is my little 6-inch iron skillet. I've got my butter melted down, and you can take some of that if you want to and butter your skillet, but I'm just gonna do it this way. Make sure it's got plenty on there. I want my skillet buttered. Just grease it up. That should work. Alright, you're going to set that to the side. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Okay, next up we're going to make our cinnamon sugar mixture. You just want to take a small bowl. You want to put in an eighth of a cup of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and a little less than 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. You just want a smidge of that. Like, you just want to mix that all around. Just get it combined. Okay, next you want to take your biscuits. You want to dip your biscuit in your butter, in your melted butter. Just dip it in. And you want to sprinkle your cinnamon sugar mixture on each side of this biscuit. I mean, just, you know, hey, cover it in it. I'll take my other biscuit and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dredge it through my butter. I'm going to sprinkle some of my cinnamon sugar mixture on it. Just get it all over it. On all sides. And you want to place these in your skillet side by side. And then I'll show you the next step. Next, you want to take your apple pie filling. And mine is just fried apples with cinnamon. And you need about 1/2 cup. These are too large for what I want, so I'm going to cut mine up until I have 1/2 cup. Okay, I have my 1/2 cup of fried apples or apple pie filling, either or. And you're going to take about 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. You're going to put it in your apples. I think I'm going to take this knife and kind of just make sure it's mixed up in there. Now you want to take your apples and you want to pour them over your biscuits. Just arrange them over the top of your biscuits, like so. The butter that you had left in your bowl, you want to pour over all of that. Just drizzle it over it. And you want to sprinkle the rest of your cinnamon sugar on it. This part is optional, but I do want to add walnuts to mine. So just take as many walnuts as you'd like. I'm going to make sure that mine are cut up into smaller pieces. I don't want large hunks. I might can do this with my fingers. Okay. It's faster to do it with my fingers. I'm just gonna break some of these walnuts up over the top. And we're good to go. I'm going to pop this skillet into a 375-degree oven for between 30 and 35 minutes. And I'll show you the finished product. So what are you going to do with the rest of those fried apples, Jana? You might ask. Well, I'm going to take what's left in this can because I only used, maybe a quarter of the can. So that leaves a good bit of apples left in the can. Well, I'm not going to waste them. Never fear, I am not going to waste them. I'm going to take my handy dandy little bowl over here, this little Rubbermaid bowl, and I'm going to dump them in that bowl. I'm going to put a lid on it, and I'm going to put them in my refrigerator. And I can use these over oatmeal, mixed in, cooked with oatmeal. I can eat these over pancakes. There are so many things. You can make mini fried pies, just whatever you wanted to use them for. Or, you know, you can make some more of these biscuits the next day. We're going to stick these apples in the fridge. In the meantime, while your apple pie biscuits are in the oven cooking, you can go ahead and make your glaze if you're going to make the glaze. Like I said before, the glaze is optional. You don't have to make the glaze if you don't want it. Some people may not want it. It may be too sweet for them. But for your glaze, you're going to want powdered sugar and either heavy cream or half and half. I think you could use water also. It's just a powdered sugar glaze. That's all it is. But for your glaze, you're just going to need about 1/8 of a cup of powdered sugar and maybe 1 tablespoon of heavy cream, or half and half, or just add a little bit of water at a time, or milk, you know, any of the above. Just to add just a little bit at a time to your powdered sugar until you have it the desired consistency that you're looking for you to be able to pour it over the top of your apple pie biscuits as a glaze. If you're not doing the glaze, but you're going to do the frosting instead, like cake frosting, take it just 1 to 2 tablespoons, whatever you want, put it in a small bowl, pop it in the microwave for 5 seconds. You want to just melt it down so that it's pourable. And when your apple pie biscuits come out of the oven, then you can pour your frosting over the top. I'm using a buttercream. I figure that'll taste really good on it, and that's actually what I had in the freezer. So it needs to be used, and I know it's only a couple of tablespoons, but little by little, I will get that frosting gone. Okay, I just got my apple pie biscuits out of the oven. This is what they look like. They smell so good. They look delicious. I am going to let them sit here and cool because they're in this iron skillet, so it's going to hold in that heat for a little while. So I'm going to let these sit here and cool for probably about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to put my glaze on it. Okay, these have been cooling for about 10 minutes. I took them out of the skillet and put them in a bowl. I've taken my frosting and I've melted it down. And now I can just pour it over the top. If you don't want to melt it down, you don't have to. You can spread it on there if you want to, but I'm going to drizzle it all over the top. Doesn't that look absolutely delicious? It smells so good. You got your biscuit, your apples, your cinnamon, nutmeg, brown sugar, walnuts, and a frosting or a glaze for the top. Delicious. Okay, y'all. We have our apple pie biscuits ready to go. I'm going to give them the old taste test. They look delicious. I want some that's got a little bit of everything in it. Oh man, that's good. That is delicious. So if you can see inside there, the biscuit's done. These apples, oh, this is delicious. You've got to try this one. I don't think I could eat this for breakfast. It's not too terribly sweet, but I really don't like sweet things for breakfast. That's why I rarely eat pancakes for breakfast. Usually if I have pancakes, it's at dinner. I just don't like a lot of sweet things for breakfast. So it would be fine for breakfast if you like something like that. But I'm more of a savory eater for breakfast. So this for me would be a great dessert. Cheers. You gotta try this. The frosting, and I'm gonna melt it down in the refrigerator. Lord Jesus, help me. I am not gonna melt anything down in the refrigerator. I'm gonna melt my 2 tablespoons of frosting. I will get my act together in just a minute, I promise. Okay, I'm gonna get this out and I'm gonna get it right in just a minute. I promise. I think I got it out right that time. We'll see.